Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I've been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lawyer, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate but like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are down and I dare to show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this breaks, I'm going in. Ain't a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit and I'm gone.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close, I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, at the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go. we go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on a roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is... Hang on one second, guys. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Frankie Candles live stream right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. Bitcoin kind of bing-bonging around here. We got a little bit of an extra push to the upside. As you guys know, we did take a long position yesterday from a local 786, and that has played out pretty nicely. I am still holding my short from higher, but the question is here, guys, how are we going to form a bottom here? Are we going lower? Are we going to break the lows at about, we'll pull it up in the chart in a second, but are we going to make a new low here, guys? Are we pushing down towards that $111, $110, $109,000 level, or can we potentially take off from here? I'm going to cover everything on the charts for you guys. I'm going to show you the next key areas of interest where I will be looking for rejections or bounces. And I also want to take a little bit of a higher time frame view, kind of look at the overall health of the market, where we sit, and what are the probabilities of coming into new all-time highs. What are the probabilities of the top being in? We'll talk about all that. And guys, low-key, very, very high chance. The percentages here on the potential rate cuts in September are absolutely skyrocketing. Right now, what I'm looking at says 93%. Is it all perfect timing, or is it all a scam, and are we going to turn around and dump to the downside? We're going to cover everything for you guys here on the Frank Candles live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Jesse in the chat. What is going on, bro? Nice talking to you last night on Billy Goat Tales, which was a massively fun time. A shout out to Crypto Billy if he's in here. We got Dave Digital in the chat. We got Darren Does Things. What's going on, Darren? And we got Rob the Crypto Snob, guys. By the way, it is Rob the Crypto Snob's birthday, as it is every single day, so wish him a happy birthday in the chat. We got Golden hanging out here. We got JR Ford. We got Vegas Claw. Said, Jesse, bro, we have a problem. Oh, God, Vegas Claw and Jesse beefing in the chat. Oh, my God. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Well, what is going on, man? We got, let's see. Shout out to Darius. Said, hey, guys. Frankie, why do I feel like the markets move when I sleep? They try to do me. They try to do me behind my back. Shout out to Darius. Yeah, this is almost like when price moves every time I get off the live stream. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Golden. What is going on, man? Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Golden, guys. He says, something tried to stop that membership drop. Ha, ha, ha. Good luck. Shout out to Golden. I have a feeling he's probably going to get those memberships through. Shout out to Golden. Smash that like button if you guys enjoy the free content and you want to see these saucy key levels. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat as well, my man. Good talking to you as well last night. Said, thank you, Frankie Candles. The Billy Goat Tales team loves you. The Candle Mafia loves you. And I love you, sir. I love you back, Dave. Dave might be one of the OSGs of the Candle Mafia, and he's even rocking that Frankie Candles hat in his profile picture. I absolutely love it. But, guys, without further ado, we got a lot to look at on the charts today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, let me pull up OBS here. Excuse me. So here's my short position here, guys. Still up about almost $1,500 here on the short. I have my stop loss set in profit here, so if I stop out, I will stop out for some extra profit. Already got 450 locked in, so I am going to continue to hold this. I am also holding my scalp long position. This is over on Femex. Blowfin, I am holding this position. Where's it at? Up about 1251. I took a little bit of profit last night, just moved my stop loss to break even, so another guaranteed winning trade. I may actually peel a little bit more money off this trade, but not too bad. Short from higher, long from lower. This long was quite a battle here, guys. We got in on the 786 retest, and we just pretty much bing-bonged around for quite some time. But nice to see that pop to the upside. I'm going to bring up some local levels with you guys as well. But those are the trades I'm holding right now. And I want to talk to you guys about the big areas of interest that I'll be looking at for my next trades. I'm not going to talk about the exact setups I'll look at. We do that in the premium Discord, but I will cover kind of those major key levels because we are potentially getting very, very close, to maybe getting a drop down to our next key level of support. Or if we rip to the upside, we have massive resistance above, which doesn't mean we can't break through it, but it is something you definitely want to have marked off on your charts. Shout out to Siberius. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said golden is gold. Shout out to Golden. I would agree with that. Shout out to Siberius. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for showing some love to Golden, who helps support this channel and the Mafia to an unbelievable degree. You guys have absolutely no idea. He drops tons of memberships. He's shout out to Golden. This live stream and the Frankie Candles YouTube channel is sponsored by Golden memberships and the support of our boy. But let's see here. Let's see. The energy today is fire. Shout out to David Digital. We got a little extra energy today, guys. I've been cooped up here. I was just doing some really boring paperwork. Oh, God, I got free of that, though. So now we get to have some fun on the charts here, guys. And we're in profit. Who can hate on that, right? But as we look here, guys, and like I said, in a minute, I am going to go to the higher time frames and just talk, macro, just, is this bull market going to continue? We're going to break it down. I think you guys pretty much know my general bias here. But let's break down the higher time frames first. I won't go over the macro view just yet, but I just want to talk about Market Cipher B. Obviously, we did. Let me turn off some of this TA here just to clean up the chart, take those dailies off. So obviously, guys, we do have the weekly red dot, which was confirmed on Sunday, right? Also, a little bit of a bearish divergence, right? We can't ignore that, right? You have the higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves. Oh, my God, the top is in. I'm just kidding, guys. I mean, who knows? Maybe. But not the camp that I fall in, obviously. But we do have that weekly bear div, right? And we have these high time frame red dots, which we have been watching like a hawk recently, indicating a potential pullback, right? We talked about this breakdown of the local range, which was totally, if you watch this channel, absolutely 100% not unexpected. We saw a lot of money flow crossing over into the red, or at least just heading to the downside. That 4-hour money flow was something we were looking at, and we knew that it was probably a high probability that we would break down out of here into the next key levels of support that we had, and we are long from, or I'm not actually long from that key level, but I am long from the retest here. But the question is here, guys, my general thesis overall has pretty much been, we had the major breakout here, right? Nice volume, nice follow through. It would not be unexpected, right, to get that the drop down to lower prices, as we talked about, to retest our structure highs, right, which is exactly what we wound up wound up bouncing. Not kind of. This is exactly what we wound up bouncing off of. This was originally our massive zone of support. We had the structure highs. We had we have another key level in here that I'm going to talk about in the middle. But pretty much between the structure highs and this value area high at about $110,000, massive key level of support that we really do want to hold. And when we go back down to the higher time frames, I'm going to break it down in a very simple manner on kind of, my general bias here, guys, is this is the breakout. I do think we are going to finish up a potential final big move to the upside, even if we have to get a drop a bit lower. I do think we could be on the cusp of putting in that last parabolic move on Bitcoin, where I will be first off targeting about 125 to 126K, and then potentially into our bigger macro targets, which I do have up here, sitting between about, again, we just ripped off of, or rejected off of 123K, but once we get up there, we have local targets at 125, 126, and then potentially another little push up towards about 137K. Can we go higher? Maybe. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But, this is my general bias, right? Like, I do think we could eventually break off into new all-time highs. And in my opinion, guys, if we are not doing that, right, there might be some reassessment that might have to go on if we start breaking some key levels. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today, because I've talked about my bullish bias here long term. But as always, guys, I take a logical and a realistic approach to the markets. Just because some crazy guy screaming on YouTube says that he thinks all-time highs are coming in, even if it's me, does not mean that it is 100% guaranteed. And I've been talking about this kind of bullish scenario for a very long time. But I do want to talk about kind of, what happens, right? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there asking, like, Frankie, what if the top is in? Like, could the top possibly be in? And I'll kind of talk to you guys about, like, those real warning signs that I would be looking at. Is it going to start the bear market? We could discuss that, but, I will talk about kind of where I would be expecting, kind of taking a step back and being like, all right, listen, like this bias may not, wind up playing out, right? And this is definitely a possibility. Anytime you have a trading plan, you have to look at that other side of the coin. So I did want to go over that with you guys, but just understand, just from a simple perspective, my bias here, guys, medium term, right? That's my longer term bias. My medium term, shorter term bias is, we could potentially still see a little bit lower, right? And this would not be a big deal, right? We saw those high time frame red dots, which did indeed give us that correction to the downside. Money flow coming out, that was absolutely correct. And when we start looking at some of this other higher time frame money flow, right, 10-hour money flow still in the red here. We have the 12-hour money flow just wiggling around over here. Is it going to put in another lower high? Are we going to get the fake out on money flow? I would never make decisions based off a money flow fake out, and this is obviously generally trending to the downside. So that's how we have to take that as a signal, or and that would be the indication I would take from this. So not possible to potentially come down and take the lows one more time into a very key level of support, which is obviously, we already bounced off the structure high, so I'm going to break this back down to our next key level, which I will bring up in just a minute. But before we talk about that, I do want to cover these local. Actually, I'll bring up the local levels in a minute. But let's just say, right, with money flow coming out potentially, we can anticipate lower highs and lower lows. Is this the lower high? Maybe, right? But we do have a massive level of resistance up here, guys, that I really wanted to talk about today because, let's talk about it, right? I'll take off that lower profile, and I'm just going to pull up some of these higher time frame levels. Whoops. Let me just hide these to keep it nice and simple. Bada boom. Oh no, are we frozen? No way. I have excellent connection. We can't be frozen. Uh-oh, it's just me. Shout out to Baze Bailey. Potentially. I hope so. Not that I want you to be behind, but hopefully we did not just completely freeze there. Shout out to Ryan, said 112K. Yeah, we're gonna bring up all those exact key levels that I'll be looking at, guys. But when we take a look at, I'm gonna cover the resistance first in case we do get a push to the upside here. Bitcoin just kind of wiggling around here. Nothing really too much to update other than like that, shorter time frame trade that we took yesterday. Obviously, continued to play out to the upside, which was very nice to see. But when we take a look at these higher time frames, guys, the biggest level of resistance above us, in my opinion, and you could kind of just see, right, when we look for key levels for high probability reactions to take trades off of, what do we want to see? We want to see something called confluence. Frankie, you always say confluence. All that means, guys, is, if you don't know, is just, where we have multiple levels lining up in the same area. And as you can see here, very simply, we have major key resistance here. And this is not even just it. We have a daily MPOC, a monthly MPOC, which is a huge level, weekly MPOC, also a higher time frame level. And you have those three levels of resistance sitting here between about 117.5 all the way up to about 118.3. Now, when we start I'm going to start stacking this confluence, but just from a very simple perspective so I don't confuse everybody, this is going to be a major level of resistance, right? On top of this, right? So if we do get that retracement, I will be interested in potentially looking for shorts here. But this is also the line in the sand. So for more upside, right? So if we come up here, I will be interested in potential short positions or at least some kind of a reaction to the downside. If we're able to flip above that daily MPOC at 118.344, I would say at that point, it is probably going to be a little bit higher probability that we are going to go sweep out that liquidity above about $120,000. We've taken a look at the heat maps almost every single live stream, looking at all those liquidations sitting up there. And the closer you get, right, and obviously big wall of resistance here, but at that point, if you don't get the rejection here, it's like you're above your major level of resistance, and then you have that liquidity, which we all know acts as a magnet for price, which could suck price up to potentially push us into that liquidity zone to sweep out that liquidity. Or if we don't see a quick swing above it, right, with an SFP or a swing failure pattern liquidity sweep, whatever you want to call it, if we don't get that quick reaction to the downside, it could potentially just turn into a short squeeze into all-time highs, which would be absolutely beautiful. But we can't really call that until we get a little bit closer to those key levels, and more importantly, until we get above this major zone of resistance. Now I'm going to start stacking this resistance here for you guys, just to kind of show you, some other levels that we have in here, right? So when we pull our previous range value area, right, we do have that value area low. I'm actually pull that to this candle, right? So we do have that value area low, which really starts at about 117.145-ish, right? 117.2. This is major, right? Because if we are going to continue that lower high structure, right, could be something like this where you go up to retest that range high and then get that lower high and the lower low. And this would be in the case that we come up first. This is very similar to what we've covered a million times here on the daily time frame in our previous range. You get the first big drop down, you get a relief rally, you kind of peek your head into that previous value area. But what do you have up in there? Just like we have those daily MPOC, weekly MPOC, monthly MPOCs in the current price action, we actually did have some significant Fibonacci retracement levels in here. Golden pocket 786, high probability lower high. We peek in, lower high, lower low, right? So that is kind of the idea. Like, it's very common that you see a breakdown and a bearish retest of that value area low. And if you can't get accepted, or if you get those short signals, that is that bearish retest, and you are looking for the continuation of the downtrend, especially when you have money flow trending to the downside, right? Money flow is always that filter that you're going to be looking at to identify, right? Like, what is that continuation of the trend going to be? Should I be longing the heck out of this thing? Well, you could take some longs, right? But you may, on the way up, be looking to take profit here because that money flow is continuing out, making you favor shorting the lower highs, right? Shorting the lower highs rather than just massively longing for new all-time highs, right? You would need money flow coming up to see that new all-time high. It's a very similar situation. So just to kind of show you guys that bearish retest of the range lows could be possible, right? And especially with all this resistance, not only is it the value area low with these 3 MPOCs, but we also have our anchored VWAP pulled from the high. We've taken a look at this before. coming right in that zone as well. So like really the full zone does sit between 117 and 118.3. Massive resistance, guys. Massive resistance, which is kind of a bummer if we do put in that lower high for the lower low. But if we are able to flip above that level, that liquidity could suck us up for a nice little pump back to the upside. So keep in mind that this is massive resistance, right? I have alert set here. I am ready to go if we push in there to look for shorts, or at least just kind of see what kind of confirmations we're getting in there, and then gauge the probability of either, breaking out or getting the lower high and the lower low, right? So that's in the case of us continuing up from where we are right now. So I'm going to take this all off the chart, and I'm going to talk about the key levels of support below, because there's another massive level. And then maybe, if we get enough people that want it in the chat, we'll cover the hyper-local levels as well. But let me go ahead and hide some of this stuff. I'll actually have to reset the daily MPOCs. I'm just going to hide this stuff again just to kind of clear up the noise on the chart, right? So we are currently just kind of bing-bonging around here, guys, right? Like nothing really super, super exciting happening here. And we do have, I'm going to pull up this new little local volume profile that we have. And, this is the new profile that we have, just very hyper-local, guys. I'm only looking at this for scalps and like small day trades. But we came up, pushed into the value area high. We did get those 15-minute bearish divergences. Come on, profile. There we go. Higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves, and we did get a little bit of a reaction back into the range here. So again, we are tapping resistance. It's not impossible to come down from where we are right now. So if we did, right, I'm just going to view this as our local levels. Nice little reaction from that value area high with the bearish divergences. I did not take a fresh short here just because I'm holding a short from higher. So I wasn't really super interested in kind of like jumping into that position. But if we cannot break out of this range, guys, we could be looking down towards the POC, which is sitting at 114,247. And then once you lose that point of control, we can anticipate to come down to that value area low. Now, before I cover the hyper-local levels here, guys, I do just want to cover the biggest level underneath us, other than the little scalp levels, which is sitting right down here at the daily MPOC at $111,120. This is technically the next big level that we have within our major support zone on these range highs, right? So if I pull up that lower volume profile, whoops, you guys can see here, right, we moved that level down to that daily naked point of control, and the reason for that is because we've already gotten a bounce off of the structure highs. So if we were to come down and take out this low, I would be looking to push down into $111,000. And this does range from $111,120 all the way down to the value area high at $109,888. Guys, this is where we want to bounce, right? And I'm going to explain to you guys from a higher time frame perspective on exactly why that is the case. But this is really where we want to bounce. If we take those lows, I would be praying for a bounce off that daily MPOC. If we had to dig a little deeper, we are really getting into the danger zone at that point at 109K. We really don't want to spend a lot of time inside this volume profile, or things could get very bearish very quickly. So simple breakdown to recap this. Key levels of resistance. Sitting right here. 117.2 all the way to, I'll just drag it down to 117.2 to 118.3. Come up. That's where we're looking for major resistance. Flip it. Hey, maybe we squeeze to the upside. But be very careful on that resistance. If we come down, I am simply looking at that daily MPOC at 111.120. And then these are both areas where we will be looking for trades in the premium Discord. And we'll, we cover the confirmations and exactly what I want to see up there, and daily and sometimes minute updates in the Discord as we're seeing price action develop. But these are the two biggest major levels on the chart right now that are relevant, right? Obviously, we have some bigger levels down here towards 107. I'll be honest, guys, I really don't even want to play around with this level. I would much prefer to bounce off that range high, right? Not breaking below that value area high. But technically, from a Fibonacci standpoint, this golden pocket is also a big level of support. And when I bring up the higher time frames, you guys are going to 100% understand why this is such a huge level. But that is what I'm looking at, right? So watch the 117.2 to 118.323. And then underneath us, daily MPOC, 111.120, all the way down to 110K, call it, right? Because 110K is kind of like a psychological level. So that's what we're looking at, higher time frame, big levels that we need to be paying attention to. I have alert set on all of these levels, right? Bada boom. Come down first, looking for the long, right? I know it looks super confusing, but for me personally, it is sit on your hands, wait for that alert to go off, hit the charts, analyze price action. Do I have a reason to take a short? If yes, I will send that thing to the downside. If we come down first and we see those bullish confirmations on this daily MPOC, maybe even deeper into the zone, that is where I'm looking for the longs. Once we start breaking below here, guys, I am on like panic watch of bounces. Like we need to get the bounces off those lower levels. And to kind of break that down, let me pull up the higher time frames for you guys and show you a very simplified version of what I'm looking at here. So when we zoom out, I'm going to pull up the daily time frame. And, the idea here overall, guys, is you get the breakout, and it's okay to dig a little deeper into this range. But when we pull up our macro volume profile, I've covered this before, you start losing, right? I'm going to pull the Fibonacci retracement as well, right? Just from a high time frame perspective, you start losing that golden pocket at 107.7, right? We also have a daily MPOC in there, major support down there. But if we start losing this, guys, like that's where I start to worry, right? And I don't want to like cause panic or anything if we do get down there, right? Like there is still an opportunity to bounce off the 786, but I've covered this so many times before. Man, would I just prefer to bounce off here, right? This would just be a much cleaner retest of the value area high, sitting at 105,731. Once we break down below here, guys, sure, you can bounce off the 786, but it gets a little bit sketchy because you have major resistance above you. And if we cannot get the like aggressive breakout of this range, guys, that is where things get a little bit sketchier. And we've talked about that $97,000 point of control of the previous range many a times before. But this would just like be generally more bearish in my opinion, because even if you come down to that POC, it's like even bounces off this level is like you're still within your profile. And when we look at these profiles, guys, you get stuck under the value area high. POC is the next likely place for price to go. Lose the POC. The value area low is the next likely place for price to go. And like at that point, you're like below 100K, you're below 110K, like you're below so many major key levels. And when I pull up another key anchored VWAP here, let me actually, I think I have it on the chart here. Where is it? Right here, right? Pulled from the impulse. I was going to say from the impulse to the high, but you only pull one anchor point on an anchored VWAP. So from the impulse here, this anchored VWAP is coming in confluence with that golden pocket and value area high of the macro range. This is another huge level that you want to hold, guys, for a major uptrend to continue, right? We flip that anchored VWAP, support, you continue up, support, you slip it, you get back above. So anytime we come down to this level, like that is a really important place to bounce if you want to continue that major trend to the upside. And it is in confluence, not only with the golden pocket, the value area high, but also the daily MPOCs that we have in there as well. And I do believe if you pull it from the absolute low as well, right? This is pulled from the all the way at the low at about $75,000. You can see that major anchored VWAP. I would say this one's probably even more important because it's from the tippy low. That is also coming in confluence with this level. And you can see on that last big retracement, we bounced off that level. So, it is all confluent, right? Whether you're looking at the anchored VWAP from the impulse or the actual low here, it is all coming in that same exact level. We have multiple things pointing towards these key levels, just like we have all those confluences up at about 117.2 to 118.3. You have a ton of confluence down here. This is the level, guys. We must bounce there. Please, for the love of God. Once we lose that 786, things get much more bearish to potentially fill this profile. And at that point, I have to reassess the whole situation, right? Because it's like, man, like, could that have been the top? And there's nothing new on the charts right now that makes me think like, oh my God, guys, maybe this is the top, right? This has kind of been my outlook the entire time. We all knew this 786 at 103.5 was major like sign of weakness if we lose that, even losing the value area high. But I do just want to kind of point that out, right? Like the importance of this support down here, guys. And it might be a zone. It might be scary. It might be confusing. You might wick below and snap back up. So just be prepared if we come down to that level that, it is literally like, I know I say critical moment, Bitcoin on the edge, and that is typically true, and I always try to cover exactly why we make the titles what they are. But if we come down there, guys, like from a high time frame perspective, extremely important to hold this, right? The nice thing is, if we can get cooking to the upside, guys, we did retest these structure highs, which is a place where you could put the bottom in. It would make a lot of sense for that. So I'm just sitting on my hands, waiting for the next key levels for the trades. But from a longer term, spot bag perspective, long term, this whole zone is going to be massively important. I cannot stress that enough. We do not want to see something like this. This would be, Black Swan, maybe, I don't know, maybe geopolitical news. And when I bring up the FedWatch tool, right, one of the reasons why I do have a longer term bullish bias, right, where the base case for me is not to come down here. The reason for that is it's all based off information, right? It's not just some random prediction that I'm making. If we look here at the FedWatch tool, you guys can see we now have a 93.2% chance of a rate cut in September. There are a lot of people who are expecting no rate cut. It's going to be very difficult to, these are typically right, but you guys have seen this percentage change so many times over the past couple of days. By the time we get to September, this can totally change, right? But we want to keep this very high because these predictions are almost like dang near 100% of the time. So hopefully we don't see any crazy changes on this percentage, but this is good so far, right? Like this would very much line up even before we had this prediction like this. My bias has been like, it's just about that time to potentially see those rate cuts come in. We have to wait for those rate cuts. And if they come in September, it would be like absolutely perfect timing when we take a look at our, where is it? I have my fib time chart here somewhere. I was looking at gold earlier today. Let's take a look here. Yeah. If we get those rate cuts in September, right, it would make a lot of sense for that to help finish off this top, right, and get us to that 1-to-1 fib time, I would say level, but it's kind of just the time, sitting in, October. Like, this would make a lot of sense in my opinion. And if we are going to get that to play out, my longer-term bias is correct, which, by the way, it could be wrong, and we're totally fine with that, right? We can't make 100% guaranteed predictions here. But, based off the information, if we can get those rate cuts, if we don't get the rate cuts, this is going to change, right? 100%. But if we get those rate cuts, it would make a lot of sense to see that final rally, see the altcoins absolutely rip, and then, have that top come in somewhere near that 1-to-1. Again, sitting at October 19th, right? I'm not saying the top has to come in here, but this is definitely a date that I'm paying attention to, right? And then even when we take a look at, many, many other things, such as Total 3, Bitcoin dominance, a lot of this stuff is lining up, right? We've covered Bitcoin dominance like almost every single live stream recently because we're actually getting moves. But, we got that first drop down. We're at the value area low. You can see that turbulence here, which would cause turbulence for altcoins. But look at your money flow trending in the absolutely right direction. Red dot looking to print on the 2-day. Money flow coming out. Your daily money flow is still in the red here and continuing to the downside, which is one of those big signals that we saw back here in 2021 before the absolute meltdown of dominance, which is good for alt season, obviously, right? So, dominance is kind of pointing towards that as well. We still have some time to bing bong around here and scare people. But once those rate cuts come, maybe money flow is predicting those rate cuts actually happening, right? And not only is the daily money flow in the red, but that 2-day is also cooking to the downside as well. We've been in this 2-day money flow. The 2-day money flow has been in the green here for forever. I mean, this has been, obviously this cycle has been an absolute botch fest for the altcoins, and Bitcoin dominance has just been super strong, but we're finally seeing that money flow start to cook to the downside, and we have red dot coming. So hopefully we can start to see that giant dump on dominance at some point, but we do have some time for some turbulence leading up into September, and then praying that they cut those rates, and then that would be good if you own altcoins, in my opinion, right? Not financial advice. This could be good, right? If we have looser monetary policy coming, like that is just generally what we've seen in the past start alt season. Does that mean every single altcoin is going to 100x? Absolutely not. But in general, that is what we're going to see. And, or that is typically what we have seen, right? And then taking a look at Total 3, right? It's like we've come down here. It's like we don't really want to go too much lower than this low. But, we do still have some structure down here. So it's like, we could still bounce to the upside. And then you take a look at Total 3, right? We looked at that break above this key level here as a very bullish sign for altcoins. We started to see the altcoins pump. We went right into that POC value area high. And then we got that rotation back from the high back to the value area low. And we are holding that as support as of right now. So I wouldn't say there's like anything like super alarming on any of this stuff. Most of it is pointing towards us being right on time for rate cuts, looser monetary policy, altcoin explosions. And obviously, as always, I have to say this, it's not a guarantee. If Powell's like, no rate cuts, we're going to feel that in the markets, guys. And this is just something that you have to be prepared for when you invest, right? Like there's no way to avoid that uncertainty. But yeah, I would say if we're going to get that break of 100, that key level at about 109K, and we're going to lose those big key levels and get back down below that macro value area high and start to like see the really bearish scenario play out, I mean, it would have to come in with either no rate cuts in September or, some kind of black swan event geopolitically. Like, who knows, right? There's crazy news almost every single day nowadays. So, fingers crossed on the charts, guys. This all leads up to rate cuts in September. But as always, I know I like to talk about show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. There really is nothing, I would say like the charts are pointing towards a higher probability of a rate cut, but obviously the charts do not really necessarily control what Powell's going to say. In a way, they kind of do, though. But anyway, so there you go. That's my overall bias, guys. I just wanted to cover that simple because I know we look at a lot of local levels, and I know people probably get so lost, right? When we look at these local levels, we're just like looking up in here for the structure, right? But just from a longer term perspective, like if we do get down there, right? Like, oh man, we really got to bounce here. And you have the anchored VWAP confluence, you have the golden pocket, you have the range highs. That's the lowest I would like to go. Break back down in here, lose the 786, not going to look good. And I would argue, right, if you start seeing that, if it's not during or after we get no rate cuts, if that happens, if we get that first, maybe the charts are pointing towards him saying no rate cuts. So that's what I'm looking at. Those are the key levels. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We have very, very major levels coming up, and those are my areas of interest to look for some new trades. All right, let's see. Smash the like 3 times. Let's go. Shout out to Philly Skills. Thank you for that, bro. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. If we get 1,000 likes, we'll go for 1,000 today. If we get 1,000 likes, I'll give away $250 in Solana on Friday's live stream. But if you do hit that like button, guys, we don't care how you do it. If you want to fondle it, you want to touch it with your butt, we don't care. We don't judge you. Just make sure you hit it an odd amount of times. All right, let's see. Yeah, shout out to Petro said alts will go to 0 if that happens. Shout out to Petro. It won't be good. That's for sure. Let's see. With the institutions in the game now, I doubt we will have the volatility like past cycles. Shout out to Crypto Independent. Yeah, I mean, as the asset class matures, right, we are going to see this is just like on any asset class, right? Like the bigger that market cap gets, the more money that comes into the asset, right? It will slowly stable out over time. And eventually, behave something like gold or, hopefully something like gold or even the stock market. So let's see. Shout out to Nirvana said, I always watch the stream back in 2X reverse. Let's go. Shout out to Nirvana. I appreciate you, bro. Let's go. Listening to me in 2X is it's a dangerous game, man. And I just saw that on YouTube. If you have YouTube Premium, they now allow 3X, which is a dream for me because I watch all YouTube in 2X already. And I kind of wish that I could speed it up more. And now you can, which is great. You got to be a premium member, though. Not to my channel, but to YouTube. But there we go. Shout out to Quiet SP says, stupid question, guys. Please, what is the golden ratio? What level is it on the fib? So shout out to Quiet SPs. Yeah, so, I mean, the golden ratio in general is something that pops up all over in life, right? It's in nature. It's in math. It's very, very weird, to be quite honest with you, but it does work even in markets, right? So the golden pocket, I think is what you're talking about, is the 6.5 and the 618, right? So 0.618, 0.65, those together create the golden pocket that you see right here. And then the 786 is the 0.786, right? And that's typically what I look for. And just to show you guys on the long position that I am holding right now, right? This long position, right, this was entered off of a bounce on the 786, right? And the reason I was looking for that is because when we look at our local price action here, we pull from the low to the high, right? And then when you're looking for higher lows, you are going to anticipate the highest probability of a higher low coming in, right? If you're looking for the continuation of a trend, right, you are going to be looking for that bounce on the golden pocket 786. I typically look at this as a zone, and that is where we look to take that long position, which absolutely played out very nicely, at least so far. Again, we're at key resistance, right? I already have my profits locked in, stop loss to break even, right? So, I am protecting myself here because of the kind of choppiness on the charts. And if you're out there trading, guys, just to be aware of this, this is very choppy. Like locally, this is very choppy price action. So if you're getting chopped up in this, don't feel bad. Definitely a bit of a choppy situation. And especially if we are on the cusp of that final breakout, it's like even bearish signs can be a little bit misleading, right? Because if this thing's just going to send it, it's probably going to step on some of the TA. So, just be aware if you're getting chopped up there. Do not feel bad. Do not feel bad. All right, let's see here. I think the bottom is in, Frankie. Everything seems very bullish. Shout out to Raul. I hope so. It's really just the higher time frame money flow that I'm looking at that makes me a little bit suspicious of a new low being made. But again, it's not this my idea of coming down to take this low is not that like pinnacle break of key support, right? If we come down here to make that low, right? We come down here, we still have the daily MPOC at 111K, and we still then maybe we bounce off there if we do put in that new low, right? We could get the bounce from 111, 120. But even if we break down below here, there's still support down below. But I did want to just take that higher time frame perspective look at the charts with you guys, just to let you know, right? Like if you can't tune into the live stream every day, we're here just like price moves 1 inch, and I'm like, guys, we moved 1%. and the levels are the same, or hey, there's a new level here, right? But long term, right, like even if you see the break here, we get a bing bong, right? We get another drop to the downside. I wanted to cover those big key levels, and all that confluence we have down here is very important. And from a context standpoint, you don't want to break back down into this range, guys. Personally, for me. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Vegas Claw, said Frankie, the type of guy that thought Fibonacci was a type of Asian spaghetti. Hey, Fibonacci! Oh, God. Shout out to Vegas Claw, bro. I don't think you know how much we laugh at your Drake meme jokes about me in my real life. They're hilarious. Let's see. Shout out to Dave Hagen, says that there's a good Nova video called Great Math Mystery. It explains Fibonacci in nature very well. Yeah, it's like it shows up in your body. Like this is not going to be accurate, but it's like the distance between your nose and your ears is like some kind of ratio, and it like equals out. It's very, very wild, and it's crazy that you can see reactions off this, like using the golden ratio in or just Fibonacci sequence in these fib levels on a chart. The fact that they are respected like that, it is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, I would say. A lot of traders are looking at these levels. That's why you get those reactions, but it is wild to see this pop up in not only nature, but on the charts. It's wild. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Wix Wife, Fine 89 says, raise hand. I am not intoxicated, Mark. Shout out to Wix Wife. She's like, I am not intoxicated. Shout out to Wix Wife and Wick 589. Let's go. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Jessica, what is going on, Jessica? Welcome in. Good talking to you on Billy Goat Tales last night. Let's go. Let's see. August, just like the last. Shout out to DK Insight, says August, just like the last 7 months of 2025. What a waste of time. Getting old for this sideways trash. Yeah, shout out to DK Insight. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been very, very choppy recently, but doesn't mean it's not tradable, right? We are in some nice trades here, but it is it's nice. Sometimes there are just clear setups on the chart. Sometimes it's a little bit more choppy. Just the reality of trading these markets. You can you gotta deal with what you're given, right? You gotta play your hand that's dealt. I don't know what I'm trying to say, guys. Let's see. Shout out to Jim, says, I'm from Poland and don't understand English. It takes a while to watch you. Could you enable dubbed audio track on your channel when you finish the video on YouTube? It dubs automatically. Shout out to Jim. Tony D, I don't know how to do that, but if we can do that, let's just do that, right? Like, I have a feeling maybe the dubs won't be 100% accurate, but probably much easier than listening to a language you don't understand. So shout out to Jim. We will try to do that. Tony, let's try it tonight and see how it works. All right, let's see. All right, so I do want to take a look at some altcoins with you guys as well. Shout out to Baby Genius, that I'm using Super Grok to find more correlations of golden ratio applications we didn't know about. Pretty amazing. Shout out to Baby Genius. Let us know. Don't hold out on us, bro. Baby Genius, give us your knowledge, bro. Share the genius with us. All right, let's see. Cap in the chat. What is up, Captain Kirk? Welcome in. Welcome in. I hope you're feeling good. Jesse, I hope you're feeling a bit better today. And yeah, shout out to Captain Kirk. Welcome in, welcome in. CandleMafia Mama. But let's go ahead and continue on. We will keep an eye here on Bitcoin as the price action develops. But I will just put a little alert here below the low, just in case we're looking at the altcoins and Bitcoin decides to move. But let's go ahead and jump into some altcoins. Let's make a list today. Rob the Crypto Snob, shout out to Rob. Let's do like 3 requests, and Rob, let's try to pick stuff that is that we never look at. If you find anything that we just don't usually look at, as long as it's not like a crazy like $100,000 market cap meme coin, let's try to get some new coins in there. TDK said, "Show us the puppy." TDK always looking for the puppy. The puppy is not here right now. She is with Mrs. Candles, but maybe I'll go grab her on the fake out and we'll show her cute little face. Oh my God, that dog is ridiculous. But let's see. Shout out to Django, bro. Oh, that's crazy. All right, let's see. VeChain. Shout out to Krisk. I think that's what that says. Yeah, we could try to take a look at VeChain for you. No problemo. Pump Fun. Oh, shout out to Darren Does Things. Yeah, we could take a look at Pump. All right. So, yeah, Rob, let's do like 3 requests, and then I will jump into I'll just jump in the chat and grab some other requests, and we also take a look at the big boys as well. Ethereum getting just still, I mean, honestly, not a ton to update here for you guys, to be quite honest. Yesterday, we looked at Ethereum. And I'm going to try to remember, guys, to like hide the object tree. I work out of this object tree so often. I just keep it open, but I understand it is a lot easier for you guys to see if I just keep that full chart, full screen. But yeah, we could see here, guys, rejection off the golden pocket. I mean, this is honestly 4-hour money flow finally crossing into the red. I mean, this is your biggest zone on Ethereum, in my opinion, right? I don't even have, let me see if I have any updated MPOCs. Yeah, I don't have the MPOCs there. Let me just pull these up real quick. But before I do that, golden pocket 786. This is your line in the sand on Ethereum, guys. You crack above the 786. As long as it's not like a quick wick and like an SFP or something like that, if we're able to break above that 786 and hold support, I would say this is your line in the sand to potentially get the breakout, right? Because if we're going to put in the lower high, it's very probable that it will come in either the high's already in, right, or the 786 would be that last level to tap, right? And this does sit at about 38.15. So, if we do squeak back up there, there is a possibility that you could kind of continue that lower high to put in a new lower low, which would very probabilistically, I don't even think that's a word, or I said it wrong. If this is going to be a lower high, either at the golden pocket or a retap of the 786, lower low would be anticipated, right? So if you're high, you're low, you're lower high, you're lower low, which would crack us back into this volume profile, which I know seems very bearish, but we do have these very big key levels down here. Daily MPOC at 3168. If we lose that, we have the massive kind of same thing as Bitcoin, right? Like that big level that you really want to hold on top of, which does sit between about $3,000 and $2,800, where we have the daily and weekly MPOCs, golden pocket in confluence with another daily MPOC and the structure highs here. So these are the biggest levels to look at to the downside for Ethereum if we are going to indeed put in that lower high. Right now, I would say it's pretty hard to call. Whether the high is in. I mean, 4-hour money flow crossing into the red, that would indicate, that would also point towards the downside. So I do have to say, for what it's worth here, 8-hour money flow still trending to the downside. It would not be shocking to me if we see some new lows to come in here. But again, like not really panicking until we are unable to hold this massive, massive support zone between $3,000 and $2,800, right? Tons of confluence in there. And hopefully we don't even have to deal with that, right? But these are definitely the biggest levels to look at. Once you get accepted into this range, I'd be looking down here. If you don't get the bounce there, we're looking down here. If we start breaking down below this, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, guys. But again, it gets more likely and more likely that you could be working your way down towards that POC to fill that range, which I'll be honest, guys, it's just we've seen the rotation of this range so many times on Ethereum, and it's, I would just say, like, many, many things on Ethereum actually don't look too bad, right? 2-day money flow still massively in the green here, indicating higher lows and higher highs, right? Even if we have to get those bigger pullbacks. So, red dot, sure. Downside to be expected, right? But that money flow is going to be your filter to look for longs at the higher lows, right? Or if you should be, if money flow was coming out crossing into the red here, I'd be much more in the camp of, massive, massive correction, right? So yeah, other than that, really not that much to update on Ethereum. Still looking pretty decent here on the 2-day. We also have our monthly green dot confirmed, which we've covered many a times. And on top of that monthly green dot, we have that 2-day, 2-month green dot printing, which is, it's a bullish sign, right? It's like definitely not a sell signal. So yeah, that could also give us that nice little pop to the upside, hopefully, right? And we talked about this $4,000 resistance level many a times on the previous live streams. Like, is $4,000 resistance, right? You come up here, rejection. We squeak above it for a little bit of a failed auction to put in the top in 2021. Massive correction, right? We test it again, slam down. I just think if you could pop above that 786 and finally crack above that resistance here, guys, I would be looking for new all-time highs. And again, is that going to time up with a little bit more turbulence while we wait for the rate cuts? Potentially, right? And in that case, maybe we get a little bit more opportunity. But I will be looking at this as opportunity to send that thing back to the upside based off our higher time frame money flow and that 2-month green dot. And if you look at our five-day here, like even the 5-day money flow finally crossing into the green here. We spent plenty of time down here as Ethereum was melting down, right? Everybody thought it was dead. But what happens, right? You get that bounce. You send it back to the upside, get above the value area low, flip the POC, send it to the value area high, just as you would expect when you look at the volume profiles. And this 5-day money flow, right? Last time we got a significant 5-day money flow crossover, right? I mean, we were in the red during the bear market. Pump into the green, you still get a massive move to the upside. You fake out back into the red, but that next crossover was a massive trend up. And this is now only beginning as we're approaching the high of the range, right? So maybe that, if we're looking at that, right, it's like, hey, this money flow stays in the green, you're expecting higher lows and higher highs, but because this is happening so high to the so close to the high of the range, it's like, well, if we pop up here and that money flow creeps into the green, you're going to be looking for higher lows, higher highs, which will very, very quickly potentially push you into all-time highs, right? So there you go. That's what we're looking at on Ethereum, right? Locally, kind of just remains the same. 786, 3813. Biggest level to get above line in the sand. If we're just going to like kind of surprise pump out of here, you got to get above that 786. If not, rate cut wait could send us for some more turbulence. So that's what I look at on Ethereum. Let's see. Dutchy Dave OnlyFans broke the internet, or so I heard. Shout out to Jay Gilly. We know you bought it. I bought it too. It's very nice. They're just like pulling fibs. I'm talking about Fibonacci retracements, guys. But anyway, let's see here. I think that's how OnlyFans started. It was just like for creators to make like a special place for their supporters to like pay for exclusive content. And then I don't know who it was, but somebody was like, what if I get naked on here? And now it's a whole thing. All right, let's see. 1000x long ETH. Shout out to Base Bailey. Let's go. All right, let's see. I'm sure we probably have. I'm sure I missed the alt list probably 100 times here. Let's see. Shout out to Rob. I think I might have missed the list. If you could resend it, I'd appreciate you even more than I already do. Let's see. Shout out to Jay Gilly. Said I started in OF, ended up owing them money. Shout out to Jay Gilly. I may or may not have had the same experience. My OF was actually titled Frankie. Never mind. OnlyFans is the GoFundMe for 304s. Shout out to Al Jr. Let's see. Shout out to Igor. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, check out Pulse Chain, strongest cult community. Number 5 biggest chain by Dex volume. Billionaire Chad founder. Not even listed on centralized exchange yet. We can try to take a look at Pulse. I just wiped my desk clean. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. We got some new ones on here other than Sui and Ada, but let's see. All right, before we jump into the requests, guys, I do just want to check in quick on Solana. Again, not too much to update here on Solana either, so I will do this very quickly. Attempting to get out of this value area high, guys, but again, when we look, 2-hour money flow coming up, taking a look at our 4-hour, trying to come back up as well. But it's like once you come up to these like higher hourly time frames, right? Like the 8-hour generally trending down, 10-hour trending down, right? A lot of altcoins have the 10-hour money flow crossing into the red, 12-hour green dot printing, but money flow kind of flat, 16-hour money flow kind of flat, daily money flow back in the green. Yeah, I would say money flow is a bit chopped up right now, to be quite honest with you guys. But I'm going to pay a bit more attention to the key levels. If the money flow, right, the biggest key level here is the value area high, 166.83. We can't get above this, guys. We are going to be looking for that move down to the daily MPOC, 153.84. This is the same level we looked at yesterday. If Bitcoin takes out its low, Solana's probably coming down here as well. If we can't hold that daily MPOC, which is also, I believe, the bottom of the golden pocket, we've already bounced off the top of the golden pocket here. So if we do take that, you have a little bit of confluence there. If you can't hold it, I'm simply looking down towards the biggest level here on the chart for Solana at this time, which does sit towards the point of control of the range. You have the weekly MPOC, the 786, and the point of control, 144.68 to 141.86. So, if the bigger correction does continue and that 8-hour money flow, say, is correct, right? Let's assume, and again, it's a bit chopped here, 8-hour money flow trending out, daily money flow crosses into the green, right? I would still say higher time frame, right? Like macro, 2-day money flow being in the green, you're looking for higher lows and higher highs, right? I'm just talking about the local levels here. But if we do come down there, if that 8-hour money flow is going to cross into the red, what are we going to anticipate, right? We're going to anticipate the lower highs and the lower lows leading us into that POC. Once we lose that, guys, this is the level to hold, in my opinion, right? We do not want to lose the 786 or just the point of control of this range. 142. We'll say at the bottom end of it, 142.28. This is really, if you had to endure that bigger pullback, like that is the real level that you do not want to lose. You really want that big bounce. And at that point, it's a bit difficult, right? Because you're inside your volume profile, and it's like anytime you're in these volume profiles, you know that the fill of the profile is very likely. But in the case of money flow coming up, where we're looking for higher lows and higher highs on time frames like the 2-day, right? You're going to be looking. Maybe the low's in, right? That would be very nice if we could squeak on out of here. But if you come back down, right, like the lowest you would really want to come is that point of control, right? It's not impossible to get the breakout, the retest of the POC, and then get the big move up. But it just becomes a difficult situation because you're back within your volume profile. So it'd be much more bullish, in my opinion, to squeak out of here. But again, money flow, you can't ignore it, right? All right, let's see. Yo, shout out to Dr. Crimson's girlfriend. What is going on? It says, I got fibs on OF, but it's extra to see me pull them. Shout out to Dr. Crimson's girlfriend. Yo, it's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out to Dr. Crimson's girlfriend. Thank you for the super chat and the info. Shout out to Dr. Crimson's girlfriend. Crazy, yo. All right, let's continue on here. Hope you're healing, Jesse. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Let's go. Yeah, wish Captain Kirk and Jesse a speedy recovery. They both got into motorcycle accidents like almost at the same exact time. Hopefully you guys have a speedy recovery. And I got to talk to Jesse last night. It was awesome to hear his voice and actually meet him virtually, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, Bitcoin looking like it wants to poop. Let's take a look here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wiggling around here. And again, just taking a look at those local levels here. Where's it at? Where's it at? Local VP, right? We have come up to that value. So if we do get the pushback, right? Or pushback. If we get the pull down. If we get the pull back, yeah, I mean, value area high. You had the bearish confirmations. You know, it wouldn't be impossible to go to the POC and then push on down to that value area low. I'm not going to cover like the hyper local levels here, guys. Obviously, on the day trades, I do treat this as a typical volume profile. If we deviate below, we do have an untapped daily level here that we could potentially bounce off of. But I would just treat that as a day trade, right? If this is just going to kind of range around a little bit more, right? There's no reason why we can't make some money on that. Again, I didn't take a short here just because I'm already holding my short from higher, and I was doing a bunch of really boring stuff today. The business side of stuff, which is funny because that's what we talked about on Billy Goat Tales last night. I would just treat this as like, hey, if I took a short up here as a scalp, right, I would just be looking for that to come down to the value area low, taking TPs at the POC in the value area low, deviate below. We could look at this as relatively undervalued price in case you wanted to get that rip back to the upside, right? But I would need the confirmations. I would need money flow headed in the right direction. But my longer-term bias still remains the same. That higher hourly time frame money flow does look suspicious for a new low to be made. And we'll see. Hopefully we don't have to do it, right? In this case, I hope I'm wrong about that, right? I'd rather get stopped out of my short and profit and ride this long up to that $117,000 to $118,000 level. Let's see. Shout out to Vegas Call. Thank you for the super chat. Dang, the super chats are flowing tonight, guys. I appreciate you so much. Vegas Call says, Erica will love Ondo. Yeah, we could try to take a look at Ondo. I don't have my pen here anymore because I cleaned my desk off. Hang on one sec. Let me grab my pen so I can write some of this stuff down. Sorry, guys. I don't sit down very often. I'm still learning. But anyway, let's continue on, guys. I'm on one today, guys. Sorry. All right, let's see here. So I will write down Ondo. And we're going to run through this list real quick. So we took a look at Solana, took a look at Ethereum. XRP, kind of the same thing, guys. We're just waiting, right? It's like the sit and wait game. Obviously we have gotten a pretty nice pullback here. Pull it up on the actual alt chart here, right? So we've gotten those pullback to the golden pocket. We're getting the bounce. We're trying to hold this anchored VWAP. Could the low be in? I mean, the golden pocket would be a nice place to put the low in, but again, like just to get you aware, right? If this is not the low and we get the bigger breakdown, I would not be expecting support on the golden pocket for a second time. So if we do not hold this anchored VWAP and we do continue, right, the downtrend, which again was identified just like on Bitcoin based off the 4-hour money flow coming out, right? We were looking for that rejection here at our Fibonacci extension zone. Get the pullback, right? Money flow starts coming to the downside, and this is where we started saying, guys, be aware that you might be able to see continued pullbacks on altcoins. Where were we looking at? At first, right? We were saying like, take this stuff off the chart real quick before we looked at all the local levels. We were saying like, what would be the worst case scenario while still remaining bullish would just be, well, hey, money flow's coming out, downtrend continues, you have your lower highs and lower lows. If this does continue, I would definitely, I would be okay with a retest of these range highs. You have your golden pocket, you have a daily MPOC, value area high, sits between about 260 and 250. Doesn't guarantee you have to get down there, right? But when we look at money flow, it's like, well, look at the 8-hour. you could just see, right, when you spend a lot of time in the green here, guys, even those fake outs into the green, right, you cross into the red and then you fake out back into the green. But in this case, when you've spent so much time in the money flow in the green, with the money flow in the green, right, it sometimes is time to, like, spend a little time in the red, right? Doesn't mean you're going to zero, but you can see that 8-hour money flow is crossed into the red. So, lower highs and lower lows could come in. But again, just, looking at that first macro target, right, we would hope for a bounce off the local levels, which hopefully we are putting in. But I would still say, based off money flow, that lower low is still probable, right? Even same thing on Bitcoin, right? So I would be watching that as the next big key level, 260 to 250. Massive confluence in there. And then line in the sand where, that same level, the POC 786 on Solana that you don't want to lose, the 786 on Bitcoin that you don't want to lose, right? I would say 230 at the 786 daily MPOC is, like, really the big line in the sand, in my opinion. Right? You don't want to break back down below this. Because, again, the idea here is that you want to continue, right? This 786 is your full fib, right? Your full 786 retracement of this entire move up, right? So if you're going to retrace this for a higher low and hopefully a higher high into new all-time highs, you really want to bounce off the golden pocket, last resort 786. But just like on Bitcoin, just like on Solana, the bounce off the 786 is a little bit sketchier, right? Because this would be a retest of the range highs, very healthy, very nice. 786 from a Fibonacci standpoint is nice, but at that point, you're back within your profile, which could get you accepted in here and just hammer you. Can't get it back above the POC, could hammer you back down towards that value area low. But at this point, right, you're still pretty far away from that first target we even looked at, right? So the stuff does take a long time to play out, but, like, while we were bing-bonging around up here, we were just drawing lines like this, like, hey, that would not be super unexpected. So maybe we see that happen, and it would be, if we get the bounce there, I mean, hey, what a call. But, as always, I would, love for the local low to be being put in here at the golden pocket, but that money flow makes me a little suspicious. So there you go. Let's see. VTech just kicked in, yo. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Yo, I don't know if you're talking about me talking. I assume that's what you're talking about, Vegas Claw. Yeah, I get super excited, and I just start talking really fast and just start bouncing off the rev limiter. But anyway, let's continue on. Jedi Skirk says, smash it. Shout out to Jedi. Thank you for being here. Smash that like button if you guys have not already. 1,000 likes, $250 being given away to one lucky CandleMafia member on top of 10 bags of ADA. Let's see. Shout out to Anonymous. Says, Frankie, why don't you use Market Cipher A? Shout out to Anonymous. Great question. I do use Market Cipher A. I just turn it on and off. It's just something that you guys will see me do this on the live stream sometimes, more on the higher time frames. But all Market Cipher A is it just gives you not confirmations. It gives you signals on your candlesticks, right? So you have blood diamonds, you have yellow X's. I assume, Anonymous, you probably know this, but I usually just turn this on. I like to keep my chart, like, as clean as possible, so I just like to have everything off, and then I will check, right, more on a higher time frame, right? If I get a weekly blood diamond or a monthly blood diamond or something, that's something I'm going to be a little bit more paying attention to, right? So I'll just turn it on, be like, okay, cool, because a lot of times I can kind of, like, predict where those blood diamonds are going to be, and I'll just double check. I'll be like, is that a blood diamond? No blood diamond. Okay, cool. So yeah, I do use it. I just turn it on and off. I check it from time to time. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Let's go. Show Tyler some love in the chat. He said, when did we start giving away ADA? Tyler Durden's just been giving away, like, some random stuff. He's, like, sending giveaway winners, like, cookies and crackers. I don't know. Shout out to Tyler Durden. What is going on, bro? Shout out to Max B. Said, smack that. All on the flow. Smack that. Anyway, shout out to Akon. I actually met Akon. Pretty cool guy. Also a crypto guy. Shout out to Acoin. Not an endorsement, obviously. All right, let's see. Let's continue on here. Let's take a look at SEI real quick. Not SER, SEI. Let me pull up bada boom. All right, so let's continue on here. Taking a look at SEI. Not that SEI chart. Man, one day, guys, I'm going to get these charts right the first time. Oh, the TA is hidden. That's why. Maybe it is the Coinbase chart. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on here. This is old. Did hold as support, though, just to point that out. From the low to the high, bounce off the golden pocket, bounce off the value area, high, higher, high, right? So you're always going to be looking on those golden pockets, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? Just a little educational sauce for the Mafia, and we can get rid of that. This is old. All right, so anchored VWAP pulled from the low is barely holding here. Holding on by the skin of its teeth. Holding on by the skin of its teeth. 8-hour money flow in the red. I would say money flow. Market size for B is going to look very, very similar on a lot of this stuff. Yeah, look at the 12-hour just bing-bonging. Yeah, very, very hard to make, legitimate, confident calls off this money flow because it's so choppy. Yeah, 2-day. I mean, I would say overall higher time frame money flow. When you want to try to delete that noise off the money flow, guys, you get see 4-hour in the red, in the green, right? You get that choppiness. Even on a lower time frame, you'll see money flow chop a lot more. But to delete that noise, right, you just look at the higher time frames, right? And I would say, 2-day money flow still healthily in the green here, right? I wouldn't say it's absolutely ripping to the upside, but it is kind of flat here. You're healthily in the green. You're a pretty good distance from the zero line. VWAP is attempting to come up. So I would still say, even if you got bigger retracements here, you do still... I would still say, golden pocket value area high, still a big key level. We've already retested it and gotten the push into the value area low, but this is still a key level. Value area high golden pocket sitting between 25 and 23 cents. And then you have your 786 POC and beautiful confluence down here as well. So these would be the two biggest levels, right? So, I would say the money flow is a little bit more chopped up here on SEI than it is on other time frames or other altcoins. Money flow in the red on the 8-hour, 10-hour in the red. 12-hour bing-bonging around. Yeah, is this a fake out into the green? Very hard to say. But based off Bitcoin's money flow, which is a little bit cleaner than this, if that, Bitcoin takes its low, money flow is correct on Bitcoin, obviously we're going to be expecting that to follow through on altcoins as well. So you could still look for lower highs, lower lows. Biggest level to watch as support would be this golden pocket value area high. And then coming on down, if you can't hold that golden pocket, I will be looking down towards the 786. POC sitting between 20 and 19 cents. Golden pocket value area high between 25 and 23 cents. Very simple. I'm going to keep it nice and simple here on SEI. Money flow is a bit chopped. Those are the key levels to look at. If money flow is, faking out here and we're actually going to get a big push up, very, very clear resistance above will be your doorway to higher prices, which is always resistance until proven otherwise, right? So as long as you put a higher low and a higher high in, reclaim value area low, that might be where you'll be able to send this thing back through the volume profile up to about 52 cents. And then, we'll cross these upper levels when they become more relevant. And just for fun, I'm just going to pull this whole kind of range right here. Yeah, I mean, you have the POC of this macro range in line with that value area low. So I would definitely say 35 to 36 cents is a massive level to flip. If you can flip that, I would say filling this range would be somewhat likely. So there you go. That's what I would look at. Value area low, 36 cents. Big key level if you just get a random shot to the upside here, flip that to support, I would see that as a bullish sign because high time frame money flow is still in the green. So there you go. And then if we cool off, watch those support levels. There we go. Quick check-in on Bitcoin, back at 115 to 122. Still just going sideways there. All right, let's see. Shout out to Teposi. Shout out to you. It says, hey, can you show us how to find NPOCs? Shout out to you, brother. I actually have a tutorial in the beginner series. Go watch the beginner series. If you have not yet, if you're new here, go watch the beginner series. Pretty much a free beginner's trading course. You can go watch through all that stuff. It's obviously 100% free, and you can get up to speed with everything that we look at. And I actually have a tutorial there. Tony D, if you could drop the link to that MPOC tutorial for our boy, you'll see I show exactly how to mark them out on TradingView. And I even show you how to set up the template here where you can just have a little button up here that says MPOCs, and you can click it, and then you'll have those MPOCs pop up on the chart. And then you could just go ahead and mark them with horizontal rays, right? Daily MPOC, then you could take off the indicator, and there's your MPOCs. But I show you how to do that. I don't want to spend all the time doing it here on the live stream. We're going to cover the altcoins, but luckily, there is a tutorial for that. There's a tutorial for everything on this channel. I even show you how to make cookies. I'm kidding. Maybe Randy will show. Maybe Randy Hipper can show you how to make cookies. Let's see. Let's go. Shout out to Teposi. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, bro. I apologize, but he says, let's go. Candles up. Shout out to you, man. Thanks, buddy. Candles up. Let's go. Shout out to Teposi. Thank you for being here. Litecoin. Yeah, we will take a look at Litecoin. But let's continue running through this list real quick. We took a look at SEI. Let's take a quick look at Cardano. I'm going to go through Cardano very, very briefly here just because we cover this almost every day. Let's take a look. I mean, you still have this front run golden pocket. So key levels on Cardano still remain the same, 67 to 65 cents at your golden pocket. We just barely front ran that thing. And again, with money flow on Bitcoin, if that money flow isn't going to fake out and it's just going to continue into the red, if we see Bitcoin take the lows, right, obviously the altcoins are going to follow. Golden pocket sitting right there again between 67 and 65 cents. If you go ahead and lose that level, you're looking down towards the value area low 786, sitting between 62 and about 60 cents. Losing that 786, guys, would be a much more bearish sign in my opinion, right? It's like that's kind of the line in the sand. I give you kind of the line in the sand for everything. Solana, everything we just looked at, it's all based off these 786 retracements. The nice thing here is that 786, it would give you, right, deviation above the high. This is where you look for shorts. Back into the range, can't break out. This accepts you into the range. Next likely place for price to go is the POC. The POC is the strongest magnet within the profile. This means that price action will stick to this level, right? You come from the low, next likely place for price to go is the POC. You stick to it very briefly, and as long as you can hold it, you expect to fill that range in full. So the nice thing, if we did get that 786 retracement, it would give you a full fill of this range. Assuming you don't hold the golden pocket, right? You would get that full fill of the range. And then this is, if you can get bullish confirmations, an area not only where you can continue putting in a higher low, and the last level you would look to put in a higher low, but it's also, like within the context of the volume profile, an area where you would look for longs. And then the overall longer-term thought process there would be if you can fill to the value area low, you put in the higher low, and then you come to crack structure to the upside, breaking you into your upper profile here, starting at 90 cents to start your bigger journey through those upper profiles. So we'll see what happens. But that's what I'm looking at on Cardano. Not too much to update, kind of just wiggling sideways there. Now, if we had confluence on this golden pocket POC, I'd be much more interested in a big bounce from this level. Hopefully we get it anyway, but you know we just have more confluence. I like the confluence on the 786 a bit better. It goes with the volume profile, and you have the confluence on that value area low. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Golden Child. Thank you for the Golden Child. Shout out to Golden. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Golden's Child as well. Says 2 weeks of fake dumps. The pump is coming. Shout out to Golden. I have a feeling he's about to buy $1 bajillion worth of Bitcoin and pump this thing back to the moon. If you know, you know. Shout out to Golden, bro. Thank you for being here. He said, I mean, look at it. This is the most structured dump I've seen in years. And shout out to Golden. This really would follow my kind of overall thought process longer term here. Like, even if these dumps come and happen, I would still think, right? Like, I don't know. It's just... I'm just going to keep my sentiment, my long-term sentiment here, guys. And, second, and I don't even have to let you know when I would change my sentiment because we talked about that major key level that we don't want to break in the beginning of the stream. So, there is a point where I would change my mind, but yeah, I would agree, Golden. It just all seems to be lining up. Shout out to Golden. But hey, Golden, if you could just, pump this thing a little bit, that'd be amazing. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Crypto Knight, said, Golden, you the man. Shout out to Golden. You guys have no idea. Golden is a mythical creature, man. He is, shout out to Golden. Obviously, if you've been here for any amount of time, Golden supports this channel like none other. And he supports the Mafia by getting you guys the memberships. And literally the most generous human being I've ever witnessed in my life. So shout out to Golden. We appreciate you so much, bro. But let's see. Speak of the devil, let's go. Shout out to Golden. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Gifted those 50 Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. Everybody gets a membership. If you just got one of those membos, go ahead and drop a golden emoji in the chat. We call that a golden waterfall. We don't take showers here, guys. Only bathing in waterfalls. Start that golden waterfall in the chat if you just got a membership. And thank your boy Golden. Let's go. This man is out of control. Golden. Thank you. I don't know. There's nothing. I can't say thank you enough to Golden, guys. You have no clue. Start that golden waterfall, baby. Let's go. And if you don't get a membership, guys, make sure your membership settings are set up in YouTube. By default, they are turned off, and you will not be able to get gifted a membership. So make sure you check those settings. And with that being said, shout out to Golden. Let's go ahead and jump on in to Tia. Let's take a look. All right. Tia, baby. Oh, man, this thing is holding up. And maybe we'll talk about the alts a little bit more in another stream about, where we would expect a lot of these altcoins to go. Everybody wants to know the price targets. How high is this thing going to go? And I will be the first person to tell you guys, even someone who's been looking at the charts for dang near a decade, crypto charts, right? There is no person on earth, right? You can ask any trader this, any real analyst this. There's no human being that can tell you that a coin is definitely going to a price. When you see these price predictions, you have to understand that there is nobody on earth that is going to be able to predict these exact dollar amounts, unless they're like manipulating the price and it's like a low cap altcoin or something like that. I don't know. Even then, it would be very hard. But when we see a lot of these altcoins, a lot of people, like if you're asking your question of like, if we see alt season and this thing finally starts to pop to the upside, like how high can we go? It's very hard to say, right? It's very hard to say. You can find those technical levels, and you just kind of have to see, right? Like at the end of the day, if we have alt season happen and we start seeing top signals on Total 3, we start seeing top signals on Bitcoin, and it starts to seem like it's the end of the Bitcoin bull run, right, or the alt season, if at the end of the day, right, I'm not saying this is the case, right, but if TIA comes up here and all the other alts are exploding, right, everything else is making new all-time highs, everything's going crazy, and it starts to come to the end of alt season, which obviously I'll keep you guys updated on. You might be thinking to yourself, well, what would I be looking for? Well, you make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you'll know exactly. You won't even have to know. You'll just be able to watch this show and understand. But at the end of the day, if the alt season looks like it's coming to an end and T is up here at, $3, right? Like potentially that could be the top, right? There's no way for me to say like, hey, if this coin goes this high, T is going to go this high, right? But you have those big key levels on the chart and you just approach it every step of the way. I would say, a big level to look at on a lot of stuff is probably going to be your full Fibonacci retracements. There's no guarantee you have to come to the golden pocket 786, but this would be like a major level, right? If you see some, even like Dino coins, right? Something like Polkadot, if you're not going to put a new all-time high in on Polkadot, I would probably be watching something like the golden pocket 786 of the entire move here, which does sit at about $35. Is there a guarantee that you get up there? Absolutely not, right? But if you say fill this range on the start of the alt season, right? Maybe you get a break into this upper range and you start cooking above the POC and you start pushing up to the value area high. If it's looking toppy up here, not everything has to make an all-time high. Not only does not everything have to make an all-time high, not everything will make an all-time high. I think it's very important to understand, especially with like Dino coins, right? Like it might not have the hype that they had in previous cycles. There's tokenomics. There's tons of stuff that goes into this. But again, what can we do, right? You might say to yourself, well, how the heck am I supposed to know when to sell? Well, number one, you should have a plan, right? How much are you investing? What is your goal here, right? To get into crypto. If your goal is to get into crypto, buy crypto, and watch the price go up until you see a number that you're happy with, I promise you will end up holding your bags till the bottom, right? Because you might say, I want to make 5K, right? Just for a random number. You see that 5K, and you're like, actually, I want to see 10K. And then you see 7K, and you're like, oh, I'm going to make it to 10K. And then, if your portfolio doesn't hit 10K, market doesn't care about that, right? And it's just going to dump when it's going to dump. So you want to have like a plan going into this stuff, but also, an easy way to do this is to just kind of keep an eye on the entire market. And then as you hit into key levels of resistance, maybe we hit this monthly and weekly MPOC on Polkadot. And then maybe it's like, well, hey, maybe we're not going to make it all the way there if it looks like the top of the bull market's happening, right? So you do have to, it is an active thing, right? But, if you have those conservative and realistic price targets that are more likely to happen, right? Obviously, no guarantees you go into all-time highs, but, let me see something here. I don't typically do this, to be quite honest with you, but yeah, I guess your 236 is there at the value area low, right? So it's not just the golden pocket 786, but it is very common to at least see retracements on a lot of stuff, but it doesn't guarantee it. I just want to be very clear about that. Like, no price target's ever going to be guaranteed. A lot of people will say it like it is, but that's, in my opinion, extremely irresponsible and a big reason why a lot of people in crypto hold their bags through the entire bear market, because they're waiting for, someone to tell them when they hear a price target and they're like, oh, well, I'm not selling because that person said it was going to go to this price, and we're not there yet, so I'm not going to sell, right? But if the top is coming in, there's no reason why you have to go tap a specific price target. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully, we do see, Polkadot at least come into a retracement level. But, if you see the bear signs early, you got to react off of those. So, but anyway, taking a look at TIA. I only say that because TIA is absolutely crushed here, guys. This thing cannot catch a dang break. I do own some TIA, so I am feeling his pain with anybody else that is experiencing it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, this is still our key level that we marked out the other day, the 786. This is not the level this is the level that you want to hold and the level you do not want to lose. If you lose this level, you have a little daily MPOC at about $1.47. But, at the end of the day, you'll look for the low, the higher low, and a higher high. If you break below that 786, in my opinion, and lose that daily MPOC, because that is somewhat confluent, you can even drag this level down there. If you can't hold that, right? In the case of a tap of the 786, I'd be okay with like a little wick into that daily MPOC, right? But if you get stuck under here, oh man, I'd be overall expecting the crack of these lows. So yeah, TIA just playing with fire here. It's just like standing on the end of the cliff, like sticking one leg out like a daredevil. So, yeah. From a market cipher perspective, I would say, let's see, 2-day money flow just still can't cross over into the green. Looking for the green dot. I mean, you really need this. Any altcoin that you're looking for a pump that hasn't gotten a pump yet, I would say the 2-day money flow crossovers are like the big thing to look at. We looked at this like weeks ago, right? Before all the altcoins started to get little pops to the upside, right? It's the 2-day money flow crossover that typically does indicate a nice little pop up. So that's what I'd be looking at on TIA. And yeah, that's what I'd be watching. Let's see. Shout out to Golden, said notice. And Golden is the #1 gifter and another 50 Frankie Kennels membership. This man is insane. Shout out to Golden, bro. Golden out there just. I wish I don't have my money on my desk right now, but if I did, I would be making it rain right now. Shout out to Golden, just throwing wads of memberships at people. I absolutely love it. Shout out to Golden. Thank you so much. And he said, notice the people who say Golden Shower never get gifted memberships. Shout out to Golden. Let's see. Shout out to Golden Child, said forget the memberships, just send me a birthday card for once in my life. Shout out to Golden Child, who is Golden's abandoned child. Shout out to Golden Child. That is hilarious. I still don't know if Golden Child is golden. But if he isn't, that is a hilarious dynamic that you guys have built. Golden Child is Golden's abandoned kid. All right, let's see. Making it rain subs. Let's go. Shout out to Tony. And we're not talking about Tony D. Yeah, shout out to Lewis, said Frankie, I think you already speak in 2X. Lewis, I wish I could defend myself against that, but I can't. I do talk in 2X. I'm from New York. We talk very fast. You should hear me and Mrs. Candles argue. It's like, no, this way is faster to get home. No, this way is faster to get home. No, but if I pull up the GPS, it's hilarious. And our New York comes out like crazy. We'll be arguing over the funniest, most nonsensical thing, and people are like, "Oh my God, are they gonna fist fight each other?" It's like, no, we're just New Yorkers. This is how we talk. When we're nice to each other, we sound like we're yelling at each other. Shout out to Dave Digital, said Golden's in the shower. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He said Golden in the shower. Shout out to Dave Digital. I mean, if you're watching the live stream in the shower, you might have gotten a golden waterfall in your shower. All right, we're derailed, baby. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to Usman, says, brother, are you a short relief for alts like the next 2 or 3 days? Shout out to Usman. If the signs were clear on the chart, I would feel better about kind of calling for that. But, I mean, let's just look at the chart, right? I won't even just give you a random prediction. Let's just, look at, let's look at, let's take a look at, where's it at? Where's Ondo? Am I blind? All right, I'll just pull up Ondo here. I might be blind, guys. I might be blind. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't love the front run of this golden pocket. Is it possible that we are hitting the golden pocket pulled from the higher low? Maybe, but I don't know. It's very unlikely in my opinion. Not impossible, but more often than not, when you front run a golden pocket like this, it does make me suspicious of coming back down to tap the bigger levels, which would be the golden pocket, POC, and 786 for Ondo specifically. So, low time frame, 4-hour money flow still in the red. I don't know, right? You could just potentially ping bong around sideways, right? I think a lot of people forget that kind of third option. It's up, down, or sideways, right? So even if it, we could argue here on the 2-hour, right? At least on Bitcoin, yeah, 2-hour money flow is coming up, but is it just going to be sideways, maybe even just sweep the highs? I like to stay a little higher time frame on these live streams because if I take a look at the 5-minute, we do this sometimes, but this stuff changes so fast on the lower time frames. I mean, 2-hour money flow is coming up, right? But then you come to the 4-hour and your money flow's in the red. It's and 8-hour money flow generally trending down as well. You got your 12-hour green dot. You got your 16-hour green dot. I'm sorry, no 16-hour green dot. You front ran that value area low. Yeah, I mean, there are some things, but there's just, for every little sign of potential relief, there is something else pointing in the opposite direction. I would say more overall, the charts and market cipher B are definitely more pointing towards downside. Doesn't guarantee it, right? And then, you might ask yourself, well, like, how the heck do you even trade this, right? Like, if you, if you're getting all these mixed signals, how do you make money trading it if you don't know which direction it's going? And that's a great question. The answer is sometimes in choppy environments, it's just better to sit out, right? Like, in the words of Tom Crown, I don't know if he invented this, but I heard him say it. He said, sometimes the best trade is no trade. And I think it's very, very true. I think a lot of people don't look at that as an option, just like when people look at up, down, they don't look at sideways. People look long at short. They don't think sit out and wait for a better signal, right? Trading is a game of trapping, right? You want to set those key levels. And in a case like this, right, if I were looking to specifically long Undo, I would much prefer, right, I would have my key level set down here, and I would have like an alert, right? If I push into this level, I'm looking for the long. If I don't tap that level, the alert wouldn't even go off, and I wouldn't be interested in the long. Why? Because I didn't hit my key level of support. But what if it front runs and goes without you? This is an important lesson to learn as a trader. That's okay. Right? You are better off, because what happens if you front run the level and there's a higher probability more often than not that you're going to tap that key level? If you try to take the front runs, right, unless you have a specific reason to take the front run, which there is reasons, but you might say, like, oh, what if it comes out? Like, what if it goes without you? That's totally okay. If you are super panicked about, like, missing a position, you are chasing money, and it will run from you every single time. Because if you get the front run of the level and this thing pushes up a little bit more, you're going to be like, oh, my God, let me long it. I'm missing the move. It front run my level, right? But then more often than not, you're probably going to put in a lower high, right? If you have a key level underneath you that was front run, you're probably going to put in a lower high, and then eventually come down to that key level. And then you're longing up here, and you're getting absolutely slapped, and then you're like, oh, my God, now we're dumping, and then it takes off without you. At the end of the day, you probably should have just waited for the key level to get hit. And if it takes off without you and zooms, it's okay. There's going to be another short. There's going to be another opportunity to catch a higher low and a long. It's okay, right? You do not want to chase your trades. The last thing you want to do is chase. When you lose a dog, what do? Well, hopefully you don't chase it, because if you do, they're going to run away from you. It's the same thing with trading. So at the end of the day, you just have to be okay with missing a position, right? It's totally fine. For example, on my Bitcoin long, just to show this, right? Like, not just like explaining here, but showing you that I actually do this, right? We had our long setup down here originally in the premium Discord. I was not there to take this position over the weekend, right? So I did not long the exact bottom, right? So you might say to yourself, well, dang, man, like, what am I doing? Am I chasing the trade on the way up? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no reality, right? I mean, I wouldn't say never, right? Sometimes there could be a reason, right? If you get a breakout with high volume, reading the order flow can give you indications that you should get in on the breakout. But if you're not looking at those more advanced techniques, then, it's much more beneficial to wait for a retracement. Don't chase it. Oh my God, I missed my long. Now you're up here. Well, sure, you're in profit, but then you just wind up coming back down. So what did I take my long position off of? Like I said earlier, it was off the golden 786 Fibonacci retracement, right? So I know there's a high, but I sit on my hands. It'll cool off at some point. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I missed the position. There's going to be 100 more trades to take the next day, right? But what do you get? The cool off, the push into your golden pocket, 786 zone. And now this is where you're looking for a higher low. And look at that. Assuming that you bottom tick the wick here, you missed out on 0.6%. Right? You basically get in at your original entry in this case because you went all the way down to the 786, right? So just to kind of show that, right? When I say it's okay to miss a move, I mean that, right? It's because you're always going to, not always, but more often than not, you're going to have another opportunity to look for the long, and you're much better staying out of entering up here and getting stopped out 100 times or getting liquidated potentially and just sitting on your hands, right? And I feel the emotions, guys. Like if I miss this, I'm like, oh man, I didn't get into the bottom. Oh my God, right? But am I entering on that? No. I'm going to say if it pulls back, I'll just get on a retracement. If the market gives it to me, I'll take the trade, and I do, right? And I did. We just showed that trade, right? Let's see how it's doing. It's probably down a little bit. Yeah, still literally at the same profit that we were before. Crazy. All right, let me come back into chat here real quick. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Trade Intuition. Welcome in. What is going on? What is going on? Clicking on the green 50% doesn't do anything. It just displays a banner, and below it shows a button to buy gifted memberships. Oh, shout out to Degenair, looking to get the membership gifted. All right, let's continue on here. Bada boom. Hopefully somebody learned something. And hopefully, if you chase your moves, hopefully that shows you that you should just be patient, right? But anyway, let's see here. We took a look at SEI, took a look at ADA, took a look at TL. Let's take a look at TON, or TON, as some people say. Just come on to the altcoins. Mexi. There we go. All right, so let's take a look here. So you guys, just from a long-term perspective, fib from the absolute low to the high. Didn't bounce off the golden pocket. Well, you got a little bit of a bounce, but it didn't hold, right? So I'll take that off the chart. But what did you put the high or low in at? The 786. This would be, right, from a super high time frame perspective, right? I'll just pull this up on like a monthly time frame or 2-month time frame, right? You have your low, your high. High or low could have been put in here at that 786. That would be a great place to bounce off of, right? We've already gotten that. Now we're kind of bing-bonging around. So zooming into the lower time frames. Get rid of this. Let's see. Take a look at the daily real quick. So daily money flow has crossed over into the green here for TON. A little bit of an exaggerated daily bearish divergence here. Higher highs equal highs. That is a bearish sign for a correction. I mean, I would say here, if I'm looking at this from a general volume profile perspective, did you tap that golden pocket? Not yet. Okay, so this actually has slightly moved. So, I mean, at this point, right, when we look at this from a volume profile perspective, deviation above the high, this is where you're looking at price being generally overvalued based off the relative price action, right? Doesn't mean it's the top, right? Just means, locally it might be the top. Overvalued, you look to come back into your range. We are now coming back up for a value area high retest. If you cannot break out of this, it would be much higher probability to get the continuation down towards your POC golden pocket. It's nice that you have this confluence here on the POC golden pocket. Sitting between 304 and 297. Key resistance sitting at, let me just clean this up a bit, sitting at 333. This is the biggest level to get above. Now, you can play around with this a little bit, right? You might break back and you get back in there, right? And the reason why I am open to coming down to that POC is because if you look at your money flow here, unless this is going to be some kind of a massive fake out on the 4-hour and this money flow comes massively back up into the green, you would have to say generally this is coming out. You would have to say 5-hour money flow, I mean, generally trending out, but it's still pretty thick in the green if I'm being quite honest. 12-hour money flow kind of flat. Let's check that 8-hour money flow. Yeah, your 8-hour money flow is coming out as well. So, unless this is a massive fake out on money flow, which is not impossible, I would expect this to continue trending to the downside, right? We spent a lot of time in the green here. It might be time to go for those retracement levels, right? So golden pocket, POC, sitting between 304 and 297. Lose that golden pocket, POC. I will be looking at the 786. Value area low, sitting between 285 and 279. It's nice that you have the value area low confluence here. And again, hopefully we don't have to come visit these levels. But if we did, right, if you can't get back out of your value area and you get stuck back in here, push down here. If this does not hold long term, this is your last level to bounce off of. 786 value area low, again, sitting between 285 and 279. If you lose this level, right, you do not want to get stuck underneath this value area low because that is the line in the sand for me personally. You lose that 786, you're probably looking to come take this low right here at 260, which would lead you back into your value area high, which is a massive level of support. Because remember what I looked at on the higher time frames here on the 2-month, right? That macro 786 is a good place to put in a low. But if you break below that 786, that higher low, meaning the macro higher low, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. Once you break that back down below the 786, that idea is pretty much invalidated, right? So to maintain the higher time frame bullish scenario here, if you do get a breakdown to that value area low, this is the biggest level on the chart. You cannot lose this. If you lose this, I would say not good. Very not good. Not good. So there you go. So that's what I'm going to be looking at on Ton Coin. And again, 2-day money flow, right? Still healthily in the green here, right? So there's no reason to necessarily anticipate that big breakdown, right? I just want you guys to be aware. If you can reclaim value area high, maybe you get the push up. But again, with the 8-hour money flow coming out, if that crosses into the red, might go down for something like this. Lose this, you're down there at like the kind of like bull market, like I don't want to say bull market support level, but like you lose this, it's like maybe this thing is not going to get the big move, right? So huge level. This is like 250. You don't want to get stuck under that 786 because of that macro scenario. So there you go. All right, let's see. Shout out to Trade Intuition, says Anonymous, I agree 100%. You could be perfect at TA, but if you panic sell or FOMO, the TA means absolutely nothing. Shout out to Trade Intuition. I could not agree. I 200% agree. I always say this, right? You could be the best technical analyst and the worst trader. This is entirely possible, right? Because it's when you're doing the TA, right, there's zero emotion involved, right? If you're not invested, right? You're just saying like, well, here's the key level. It's much easier to view the market from a logical standpoint because you don't have that emotional drive of like if you're going to make money or lose money, right? So you can have like, oh my God, this key level, it's going to bounce, right? But if you get scared at that key level and you don't buy or long, right, you're not going to get in there, right? So like the TA was right, but you didn't take the trade, right? If you have so 100%, right? Like you can have the perfect trade setup, right? But if you don't take the trade, you're not going to make money. And if you don't take profits, you're not going to make money. Like let's just say, for example, say, you saw a beautiful setup off the 786 and you were targeting, we'll just say for random example, you knew there was a key level here that you were targeting. You wanted to get in here, get out here, right? If you get in and then you just hold it and you never take profit, right? Because you're getting FOMO or greed to pop into your head, well, what's going to happen to your trade? It's probably not going to go very well, right? So 100%. Trading and technical analysis, although hand in hand, do not necessarily, they're not one-to-one, right? You could be the best analyst and a horrible trader. If you're a super emotional person, you're not going to listen to the TA. You're just going to, what are you making the decisions off of? In order to be a good trader, you have to have a good TA, absolutely, right? But you also have to have the emotional and psychological control to make your decisions based off of that TA, not based off your emotions, 100%. And I do think there's a lot of cases out there where someone might be really good at TA, but just a very emotional trader, which probably isn't going to turn out too well, right? The nice thing is you can change this stuff. You can build the habits, you can fight those emotions, and you can get yourself out of that kind of emotional-driven trading mentality. All right, let's see. Shout out to Lord Bra, says LFG. Welcome in, bro. Thank you for being here. This happened to me when I first started trading. Shout out to Silent Q. I think it is a rite of passage, right? Because when you get into trading and you don't really know any of this stuff, you're probably thinking to yourself like, you're just seeing the numbers on the screen. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to keep holding it. I'm making money. I'm doing something right. I'm going to hold it, right? And then, you have to get humbled by those markets. It's, there's almost no way to avoid that. I don't even want to say almost. There is no way to avoid that, right? Let's see. Shout out to Crypto Knight says, if you want free memberships, click on the green banner above and select Allow Gifted Memberships button. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Knight. Thank you for saying that, bro. I know a lot of people are trying to figure it out. Shout out to Reaper Soul. Said, can you show me an example of how you enter a trade? Yeah, Reaper. Are you talking about like what signals I look for? Like what is the actual trigger that makes me hit the buy button? Or are you talking about like how to actually enter a trade on an exchange? Let me know. If I see it, I will totally explain. Maybe I'll just break down the long position that I'm in. But if not, you could check out, in the beginner series, there's a tutorial that will answer almost any beginner question that you have. Entry triggers, I have a video on what I look for to enter trades. I have a video also on how to use the exchange and how to use leverage correctly and not use it as a gambling outlet. So yeah, let me know. Golden being golden. Shout out to Tony D. Yeah. Crazy, man. Shout out to Tony D. All right, let's continue on. Shout out to Slick, says, Frankie, thanks for the wise words. One question. Once the price action is near the value area high, how do we know when the price is breaking the volume profile going upwards? Thanks. Shout out to Slick. Tony D, can you drop 3 videos? Volume profile tutorial, maybe the leverage trading tutorial, and the golden pocket tutorial. If you could drop those 3 in there, it'll give them a direct link to go check that stuff out. But just to answer your question very, very quickly, this has a lot to do with, I'll just give you the example on Bitcoin that we saw, obviously recently here. When we look at this, right, how do we know, right? If you've been here, right, you will know that we anticipated the breakdown of this volume profile. So I'll give you as like a perfect example, right? There's your volume profile. How do we know, right, that this was very likely to happen? Well, very simple. Has to do with money flow, right? When you have price bing-bonging around in this range, when you're inside the range, going up and down, this is where it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful opportunity to catch longs at the low or deviations below, or shorts at the high or deviations above. This is the simple, just to break down my kind of general trading strategy, right? This is not, including exact entry triggers or like the nuances of different types of entry triggers or anything like that. But when you are bing-bonging sideways within these volume profiles, this is what we look at, right? The fair value. All this volume profile tells us is that inside of this range is fair value. Buyers and sellers agree that this is cheap. They buy it back up. And then when it gets above this level, it is expensive. You sell it back down. And this is what gives you such a high hit rate on these volume profile trades, right? You deviate below the low. This is where you're looking for your entry triggers, right? Which there's many different entry triggers. In this case, right, one of the most general entry triggers that I look at, we actually did take this long in the premium Discord, which is actually kind of funny. But what do we look for, right? We look for bullish divergences is one of the simpler kind of beginner-friendly entry triggers that you can look for. Not all bullish divergences are created equal. The only reason we look at this bullish divergence is because we're pairing it with the deviation below the low, which, as I just said, is undervalued. Cheap. This is cheap relative to your previous price action, right? Every time we dip below there, we go back to the high, get to the high, back to the low, back to the low, back to the high, back to the high, back to the low, right? So you could say to yourself, number one, now we have a cheap asset here. This is where I want to look for longs. Check number one. Check number two, do I have a reason to enter this trade? Well, do I have an entry trigger? Well, you do have bullish divergences. You also got an SFP as well, 2 entry triggers, right? At that point, your thought process is going to be to, depending on where you get in, if you get in on the SFP or maybe you just get in on the bullish divergence, the plan for that trade is to get accepted back into the volume profile. Once you get accepted above that value area low, this is what makes the very high probability rotation back to the high. Because once you get in here, there's about an 80% chance that you will get a push, and that's not my statistic either. Once you get above that value area low, the next likely place for price to go is the POC. Once you flip that POC, it's very likely to fill that volume profile in full, giving you a beautiful long position. And then what happens up here, right? You push into the high. You have bearish divergences, I would assume. I actually don't see momentum waves right now, so this could be wrong. But I'm just going to show you guys how predictable this can be. I would almost guarantee you that there's a bear div up here. I think there is. I think I remember this. Yeah. So you do have a bearish divergence, right? So now you are above the value area high, which is looked at as expensive. And the answer to your question is coming very soon. Don't worry. This is expensive, and this is sauce, low-key, guys. This is like, this is sauce. But you deviate above the high. This is your expensive asset, right? This is where you're on short watch. It doesn't mean that you just wait to come up here and take a short, right? You need to understand, right? Like even here, well, it's kind of a bad example, but you get above the high. Sure, you get the move back to the POC, which would have been beautiful. But again, right, like was there really a good entry confirmation in here? Not really, right? You don't have any SFPs. You don't have any bear divs. You kind of just tapped it and rejected, right? But what happens when you deviate above it a little bit more? You actually do get your higher highs on price action, your lower highs on your momentum waves. There's your bearish divergence. That is an entry trigger, right? Maybe you get an SFP as well, which you actually did have here, which is crazy, right? And let me just make this a little bit smaller, right? So you get the wick above, the candle closure down below. If you don't know what an SFP is, go check out the beginner series. I have tutorials explaining exactly how to trade these. But you have your bearish divergence, the higher highs, lower highs. That is showing you that you could get a reversal, and you also get an SFP, another entry trigger, right? So it's the same thing that you did down here, but in the opposite direction, right? So you're just going to be looking for a short entry up here. Stop loss would go above the high, and then your take profit would be at the value area low. Right? And then once you get back down, let's say you get an entry up here, you got to be careful around the value area high because that could be support depending on what high time frame money flow is doing. And this is where the answer to your actual question is going to come in. But once you get accepted back into the range, where's the next likely place for price to go? That POC is going to act as a magnet and suck price down there. And like I said earlier in the stream, it does act as a magnet. You get some turbulence, but more often than not, there's about an 80% chance that you will eventually get the full fill of that range. So now you got a long from the low to the high. We took that in the premium. And then you get a short from the high to the low. I was actually traveling during this time, so I actually did not take that trade, but you do get that same exact setup to get back into the range, back to the POC, back to the low. And then what happens next? You tap the low, and you go back to the POC, flip the POC, go to the high, right? So again, that's just like a generic example, right? There's a lot of things that go into this to like understand like if you should hold the long for a bigger rip up. But just to explain that, when we looked at this, right, why were we anticipating the breakdown of this range? It all has to do with money flow. What is our money flow doing here on the 4-hour time frame? Well, our money flow is clearly trending out, right? Massive money flow wave, and you trend to the downside, right? And that is where we know the money flow indicates the overall trend. The red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, but the money flow indicates the overall trend. So when you see that 4-hour money flow crossing into the red, you would say to yourself, well, hey, we bing-bonged around. We caught a bunch of nice trades within this profile from the high to the low, nice little scalps. But when you take that short position, which I am holding that short position, it was not a traditional volume profile trade, to be honest. I took this entry off a retest. Why was I looking to hold this to break down below this range? Well, it has to do with your money flow. When that money flow crosses into the red, the idea here is that the overall trend will continue down. So if you're looking at this and you want this to break to the upside, right, what do you want to see? You want to see the opposite of what you saw here. You want to see money flow, pretend this is red, right? You want to see a big red money flow wave, and you want money flow crossing into the green. That would indicate a pop to the upside. But in this case, money flow is trending down, making it much more probable that you would get the breakdown of the range to the downside. Does that make sense? And then this pops up all over the chart. This was a higher time frame perspective, but if we pull up our current local range that we have here, you deviate below the low, you get back in, flip the low to support, POC, value area high, right? And what do we have at the high right here? Hopefully this plays out, so it's a good learning opportunity. You push into the value area high. You have higher highs on your price action, lower highs on your momentum waves. Money flow is kind of trending out here on the 15-minute. This would indicate, right, if you can't get back above that value area high, you might be on your way to that POC, lose the POC, go to the value area low. It's never guaranteed, but you could see in the previous range how likely it is to actually play out. So there you go. So that's how you do it, right? And just to show an even simpler example, we could just take a look at the daily here on our previous macro range that we had back here, right? Massive range, and this is a little nicer because it's like such a high time frame range. How would we know, right? And it was the same thing back here. What were we anticipating as we were bing-bonging around in this range? Sure, we caught nice shorts from the high to the low, long from the low to the high. You know, you catch these nice little range trades, and price ranges about 80% of the time. So you have this is what's nice about the volume profiles is because price ranges about 80% of the time, you got a ton of opportunity to bing-bong those ranges from the high to the low. But what is your money flow doing here? Your money flow on the daily is cruising to the downside, looking to cross over into the red. This would indicate that lower highs and lower lows are more likely to continue your downtrend. You have your low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. That is indicated by your money flow coming out. This is money leaving the asset. So when you're ranging around and money flow is steadily trending out, you would expect that eventually this could break down. In the end, when you trade these volume profiles, shorting the highs and longing the lows, you can say to yourself, right, you're already going to be looking for shorts up above the value area high. So if you can catch, and we did actually short this in the premium Discord as well. I actually personally didn't short up here, but what I did do was short on a retest, right? And I think my entry was closer to 102K. And then you look to hold that from the value area high to the POC to the value area low. But then at that point, when you're tapping the value area low, this money flow is about to cross over into the red. So what are you going to do? You're going to take your short, you're going to take your stop loss, right? And you can move it to break even, right? You could take some profit off the table. You go from the value area high to the POC, lock in some profits, move your stop loss to break even. Congratulations, you are now in a guaranteed winning trade. If this yeets back up and shoots to the upside, you stop out, but you already took money off the table. So you're making money, right? And if it does continue down, which would be the higher probability situation in this case because money flow is coming out, you can hold a portion of this position anticipating the breakdown of the range, and then your little trade from the value area high to the value area low winds up turning into a massive swing trade all the way down to, you know, you would have targets down here, which we did, right? And you could look to hold that to lower prices because you anticipated money flow coming out would give you that trend to the downside, while also protecting yourself if you're wrong, right? Not only getting stopped out, but you're getting stopped out in profit. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much how I like to trade, right? I will take those day trades. These are a little longer than day trades, right? But I will trade within that range. And then if I'm in short here and we start cooking below that POC and I see that money flow coming out, I'm holding a portion of that trade to see if it plays out, right? And if it doesn't, I'll get stopped out in profit. And it's the same thing for the long positions. Take a long here. If money flow starts coming up, you could take profit, move your stop loss to break even. And I'll just visually do this for you. Let's say you take the long there. You're targeting the value area high, right? At that point, if your money flow, which is not, right, if your money flow was coming up, crossing into the green, you would anticipate the opposite of what actually happened. You would anticipate a continuation to the upside, turning your trade that was originally planned for a value area low, POC, value area high rotation. At that point, you could take profit at the POC, move your stop loss to break even, and then you could just relax. And if price wants to come up here, if it decides to break out because money flow is coming up, you can now turn your little trade into an absolute home run. You want to let those home runs hit you by surprise. But what happens if it comes back down? Well, if it comes back down, your stop loss is at break even. You already locked in money at the POC. You'll get stopped out in profit. That's the way I like to trade. If you guys want to check out Frankie Kendall's Essentials Indicators, it's not a sales pitch, guys. It's totally free. You can just come on to TradingView, search my name, come to Frankie Kendall's Essentials, get it on your chart, and what this will do is pull you a fixed range volume profile with a little bit of added sauce. We have a little buy and I don't want to say buy and sell indicators. You should never just buy or sell off one indication or just like a signal. But let me just go ahead and turn this to look for divergences on Market Cipher B, right? So what I like to do here is you can see right here, you deviate below you're deviating below the low and you're putting in a bullish divergence. This green line indicates the bullish divergence if you're new and you don't know what to look for. This will indicate the bullish divergence, and then that sauce can is actually letting you know that that bullish divergence is occurring outside of your value area low. So I wouldn't say you don't just buy and sell these signals. This is never going to work, right? But you look at this and you're like, okay, I have a bullish divergence. I have the sauce can. That means it's happening outside the value area. Now I can look for a push back into the range and a rotation to the high. So this is like a souped up fixed range volume profile with like added sauce. We also have automatic Fibonacci levels that pop up here as well. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I have a video on it on the YouTube channel. But if you can't for some reason use the regular fixed range volume profile on TradingView, you can come use my free indicator. No phone number, email, or nothing like that. Just come, search it, get on your chart right now. But there you go. But let's go ahead and check in one more time on Bitcoin here. 115.2. Just still bing bonging around up here. So be careful, guys, with that 8-hour money flow cooking to the downside, with the 10-hour money flow cooking to the downside, with the 12-hour money flow potentially looking to continue out here as well. I am suspicious of that drop to the downside. But if you are just tuning in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I give you my full thoughts, low time frame, medium time frame, and macro analysis on Bitcoin, the exact key levels I'm looking at for my next trades. And with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and sticking around till the end of the stream. I love each and every single one of you guys. And shout out to anybody who was in Billy Goat Tales last night. It was awesome talking to you guys, and it was really good to hear from some of you guys. I love actually getting to talk to the Mafia and like kind of meet you guys, even if it's virtually. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate every single one of you guys from the bottom of my heart. I don't just say that because I'm on camera. I say it because I mean it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Pray for Bitcoin. I'll keep you guys updated. If something crazy happens tomorrow, I'll drop an update. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, though they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Say hi. Say hi, Ollie. Do the cute face. Do the cute face. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Thank you for the analysis. Good girl. There's the puppy, guys. There's the puppy. She doesn't look like a puppy, but she is. And guys, she's not a. I didn't save her. I'm just babysitting. So don't worry. It shouldn't dump Bitcoin. Every time I find a lost dog, Bitcoin dumps. This is not the situation. She is a welcome guest here. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, share. I don't know. Do all the good stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out.